Hello, my name is Carson Ellison. I'm a junior from Miles ISD, and for my Lest We Forget project, I chose John Brown, so we should never forget him and what he has done for America. John Brown was born on May 9th, 1800 in Torrington, Connecticut. John Brown's father was Owen Brown. He was born on February 16th, 1771, and his mother was Ruth Mills Brown, born on January 25th, 1772. Owen, his father, was a wealthy cattle breeder and land speculator who operated a successful tannery in Hudson, Ohio. He was also a stout and outspoken abolitionist and a civil servant. Brown was a founder of multiple institutions, including the Western Reserve Anti-Slavery Association and the Western Reserve College. John's mother was Ruth Mills Brown, born on January 25th, 1772. Ruth Brown was a deeply devout Christian who inculcated both the Christian faith and abolitionism into young John Brown's mind and soul. John did not have any siblings. John Brown lost his father at the young age of 6. He died in the Revolutionary Army at New York, September 3rd, 1776. John Brown was born into a deeply religious family in Torrington, Connecticut in 1800. Led by a father who was deeply opposed to slavery, the family moved to northern Ohio when John was 5, to a district that would become known for its anti-slavery views. While living in Ohio, his father, Owen Brown, gave his land to fugitive slaves. He made friends with the slaves, and he loved them like a family. He would play with them, talk to them, eat with them, and just spend all of his free time with them. That's where his fire for anti-slavery truly kicked in. His family did not agree with slavery, but for him to decide on his own was a huge step to what we now have. During his first 50 years, Brown moved all around the country, moving to Ohio, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and New York, and taking along family, which seemed to never stop growing. He would later have 20 children. Working at different times as a farmer, wool merchant, tanner, land speculator, but he was never financially stable. He even filed for bankruptcy when he was in his 40s. His lack of money, however, did not keep him from supporting the causes he believed in. He helped finance the publication of David Walker's appeal at Henry Highland's call to rebellion speech. He gave land to fugitive slaves. He and his wife agreed to raise a black child as one of their own. He also participated in the Underground Railroad in 1851. He helped establish the League of Gauleits, an organization that worked to protect escaped slaves from slave catchers. In 1847, Frederick Douglass met Brown for the first time in Springfield, Massachusetts. Doug stated that, though a white gentleman, John Brown, is in sympathy a black man, and as deeply interested in our cause as though his own soul had been pierced with the iron of slavery. It was at this meeting that Brown first outlined his plan to Douglass to lead a war to free slaves. Brown moved to the black community of North Elba, New York in 1849. The community had been established thanks to the philanthropy of Gerrit Smith, who donated tracts of at least 50 acres to black families willing to clear the farm and land. Brown, knowing that many of the families were finding life in this isolated area very difficult, he offered to establish his own farm there as well, in order to lead the blacks by his example and to act as a kind of father to them. Brown returned to the East and began to think more seriously about his plan for a war in Virginia against slavery. He sought money to fund an army he would lead. On October 16, 1859, he set his plan to action when he and 21 other men, 5 blacks and 16 whites, raided the federal arsenal at Harper's Ferry. This attack made the Southerners realize that the abolitionists would not stop until they eradicated slavery once and for good. Unfortunately, this attack was a victory for the Confederates. They raided the arsenal, but no real harm was done. The only real harm was done to John Brown. He was quickly injured and captured. He was then moved to Charleston, Virginia, where he was tried and convicted of treason. But before hearing his sentence, he got to speak to the court. I believe to have inferred, as I have done, in behalf of his despised poor, was not wrong, but right. Now if it be deemed necessary that I should forfeit my life for the furtherance of the ends of justice, and mingle my blood further with the blood of my children, and with the blood of millions in this slave country whose rights are disregarded by wicked, cruel, and unjust enactments, I submit. So let it be done. A quote by John Brown. Although initially shocked by Brown's actions, many Northerners began to speak good on the behalf of the militant abolitionists. He did not recognize unjust human laws, but resisted them as he was bid, said Henry David Thoreau in an address to the citizens of Concord, Massachusetts. No man in America has ever stood up so persistently and effectively for the dignity of the human race. John Brown was hung on December 2nd, 1859. Despite his contributions to the anti-slavery cause, Brown did not emerge as a figure of major significance until 1855, after he followed 5 of his sons to the Kansas Territory. There, he had become the leader of anti-slavery Goliaths and fought a pro-slavery attack against the anti-slavery town of Lawrence. The following year, in retribution for another attack, Brown went to a pro-slavery town and brutally killed 5 of its settlers. Brown and his sons would continue to fight in the territory in Missouri for the rest of the year. Thank you for listening. My sources were johnbrownpbs.org and John Brown, A Cry for Freedom by Lorenz Graham.